Something that he felt deep down solved his abandonment issue that he had from his mum's accident. You know, it's strange, isn't it? When you come from a migrant family, you grow up carrying these invisible weights. The hopes of your parents, the regrets of generations before you, the pressure to succeed in a country that never really felt like it's yours anyway, right? Sometimes you're not just trying to build wealth, you're just trying to end a generational poverty curse. So today's story is about how I helped a client who's a first-gen migrant Aussie like myself, mushroom up, level up, okay? So the client here, his name's Leo. Obviously not his real name, but let's call him Leo for the sake of this story. He found me through scrolling through TikTok late at night. Something like what you guys are doing right now, like I'm on your FYP. Now, he's 24 years old. He's a first-gen Vietnamese Australian. So his parents came from Vietnam, then he migrated to Australia. Now, to give context, his parents came with nothing but a dream, right? They worked brutal hours, they missed birthdays, they missed Christmases. I don't know whether they had Christmases in Vietnam, but you know what I'm talking about, right? And they did all that so that they could come to Australia and give their only son a shot in life, right? But unfortunately, life wasn't kind, right? Leo's mother, she had came to Australia, and after 3 years of, getting the citizenship, and I think Leo was about 4 or 5, she passed away. It was a car accident. There was no goodbyes. It was so sudden. He was only 4 years old, and he remembered vividly at the hospital, Orbit Hospital, crying his heart out because he lost his mother. But anyway, he told me it shook him to the bones, right? And since that moment, he started to feel this deep issue of abandonment, this deep issue of just losing control. And the fact that right now he's 24 years old, still renting with his father. I mean, he mentioned last year the landlord had increased the rent. He just didn't like the feeling of not being in control of his life, right? So anyway, fast forward. He's got a good paying job right now, and we talked on the phone, and he said to me, hey man, I want to own something, right? Something permanent, something that in any bad day that would happen, nothing's gonna be taken away from me. And about 6 months ago when Leo reached out, he was renting with his dad in Harris Park for $450 a week. He worked in a good job at Woolies. He was an executive, earned 120K a year. He had solid income, and he was young. And I can tell you right now, he's a pretty good looking bloke and single. But anyway, like many young Australians, he didn't know where to start, right? To list some of his liabilities, he had a Amex credit card, $12,000. He had some afterpay. He had a $30,000 car loan. And his living expenses were enormous. He was spend $6,000 a month, plus his personal loan, car loan, and afterpay. I was like, dude, how did you rack up so much debt? And then his dad walked in smoking a cigarette, and he was on his phone too. And then I took a glimpse on his dad's phone, and he was on Sportsbet. So anyway, I worked with this guy for about 2 months just to fix his living expenses. I mean, hey dude, Leo, you know this is important to you. You got to clean up your living expenses, reduce your bad debt in order to buy, whatever property you want to buy. So thankfully, Leo, in the 2 months that I worked with him, he got his shit together, and unbeknownst to him, his dad gifted him 200 Gs. I know what you're thinking right now. Oh yeah, bank of mum and dad. But yeah, this is bank of dad, who is a migrant who worked his butt off for his son. But he got the gift. What happened next is then I helped him structure the loan. It was through a major bank. The purchase price was $735,000. The loan amount was $583,000. That's an LVR of 77.73%. And we kept it under 80% so he would avoid mortgage insurance on a 6.65% interest rate, 5 years interest only. The repayment was $3,210 per month. And along with, again, that loan, we slashed his Amex credit card, $12,000 that was gone. Afterpay, BPay, the rental income was $550 a week, which the rental yield is pretty okay. And at least for Leo, it was a foot forward in building his investment portfolio. Something that he felt deep down solved his abandonment issue that he had from his mum's accident. Obviously, if you're a migrant, you came here, you might not have the same trauma as him, but you would probably relate why you're buying property, right? It's a sense of security, a sense of falsehood that you can treat your trauma with acquiring brick and mortar. And for him and a lot of Asians that I deal with, it seems to be the case, even for myself. It was never about buying a house. It sort of feels like you're reclaiming control. It's about saying, the poverty, the sadness, the loss, it stops with me right now for my next generation. So look, Leo isn't rich, right? He's not an overnight success. I'm not trying to preach that he got rich really quick, right? He still has his property, right? It's grown steadily. But end of the day, I'm going to share this story that, I helped him mushroomed up. He was just a kid that had lost too much, obviously from his mum. And it was someone that decided that he didn't want to lose anymore, right? And I'm just luckily the dude that showed up on TikTok and picked up the call when he booked the call. But anyway, if you're looking to level up and mushroom up like Leo, I look forward to talking to you.